of a facilitative, enabling environment so that we can empower people and citizens within our space to achieve the goods and services that they want to have a better quality of life. And so this leadership is very, very important to a small city, that the municipal government and the central government can put in place systems that bring about change, not necessarily in the way of improved technologies. Some societies have challenges in terms of equity issues and access to technology, but you can widen this concept of smart cities to focus on this idea of quality of life and empowerment for members within your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate the Minister. And then we will move to the French delegations, Mr. Christophe Ferrari. Well, we're also very happy because this is the second time Mr. Ferrari came to Taipei. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will welcome the chairmen of the Grenoble Alpes Metropolitan, the chairmen of the Mr. Ferrari. I give you the floor 5 minutes, please. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Charles, for giving me this opportunity to talk to you again and to have these very high-level interactions together. So it's a great pleasure. So just a few minutes to present you what is Grenoble, and especially what is the metropolitan area of Grenoble. Grenoble is in the Alps, in the French Alps, very close to Lyon, close to Geneva, close to Torino in Italy. And it's especially the quality of life, which is the main point of this metropolitan area, because of the mountains all around the history. You see, this castle has been maybe the first step of the French Revolution. So this is why the capability or citizen participation is important, because we have this history in our region that if we do not hear to people, something can happen. So in that case, it has been the French Revolution. So it is deeply rooted. The participation of the inhabitants in the different policies is really important. And also sport and culture are also very important in our policy, and especially also in building a smart city. So just a few facts. The metropolitan area of Grenoble is made by 49 municipalities, around 500,000 inhabitants. It's very small in size because it's surrounded by mountains. And the main competencies of this metropole is economic development, higher education and research, water and sanitation, waste management, transport, energy, urban development and planification, and environmental policies. So you see that all the competencies that we have are directly linked to the smart cities questions. So especially also mobility and public transportation. So what is interesting is that we have some very urban cities, very urban, and also some very small villages in the mountains. So this is all what is the metropolitan area of Grenoble. So Grenoble is a ground of innovation. Ground of innovation because it's universities. This is the second university in France after Paris. And you've got some very high ranking, the fifth best science faculty in France, looking at the Shanghai ranking. The second best engineering school in France, also in the top 5 business schools in France too. So it means that we have, a ground or people, especially in university and research, that are able to provide to the territory some very interesting input to build a smart city. Also industry, we have some very strong sectors like electronics and micro and nano electronics. We are called the Silicon Valley of France, and especially for IT and software, also for new energies, and also what we call the energy transition. And we are quite strong on that because it is our history too. Hydroelectricity has been invented here, and also for medtech and chemistry. So as you can see, we've got some few figures, Nobels and Turing Awards, and also different kind of awards that we had in the university. This is very important because the university force strength is deeply, is clearly in the loop of building a smart city. So as I heard before, what is important is to have a local government strategy, and also some very important partners that can be involved in building the smart city strategy, the smart city projects. So, capital of the Alps and capital of innovation, this is where it's, we say, we can read in newspapers that it is the place where it's good to innovate, because the ecosystem is very fruitful for that. We've been also ranked by Forbes magazine in 2013 as the 5th city in the world where innovation is important and easy to do. And we have also some very important supports from the government, the local government, especially for competitiveness clusters and collaborative research and development projects, to finance business incubators and accelerators. So this is very important to build this relation between the public and the private sector. So this is what we have, and you can see the list of the different public and private actors that can play in this very interesting garden. So collaborating smart city projects, you have a list here of different kind of projects that we built, especially for Vivacité, which is the deployment of smart meters in homes to allow consumers to manage their energy consumption. So this is something that we are going to build at the range of the whole metropole. Not only a part of the metropole, but to the whole metropole. Also the Inanna district, bringing together several large companies and research centers to mutualize their energy resource to respond to supply-demand needs on their sites, with some very big groups, important private groups. Also the development of electric vehicles thanks to hydrogen power. This is something that we develop a lot. And also a grouping of companies, especially in a place of the metropole, that are able to ensure a sustainable means of transport that can be used on that place. So some different new things in 2017 that were not presented last year but are now in working. We've got a smart city steering committee which is about 100 members from local authorities, industry, research, educations, and different kind of associations, citizen associations too, to co-create our future smart city and to ensure that none is left behind. This is the case, and this is the point, and to improve city services and make better use of public resources. So this is our new application. Also some new applications in the city. Sorry, because a lot of things are in French. Especially we've been the leader in France for pollution reduction. And what we built in Grenoble has been developed in the whole country now. It's been developed in Lyon, in Paris, and different other cities, because we want to have a good air quality. Also now we also developing and reducing the number of heavy goods vehicles in the city area, putting in place a urban distribution center, and also reducing the speed for vehicles. 30 kilometers per hour is now the rule. 50 could be used, but 30 kilometers per hour is the rule. So it's also to have a very smart city. And the citizen engagement is really important for every decision we take. Every decision we take. Or it's a panel of citizens that has been chosen from different parts of the metropole, or it can be also some very big workshop with all citizens that want to come into and want to talk about the subject. So for us, it's really important to to involve the citizens, and especially by public meetings and consultation sessions between politicians, staff, and the public. And also we use some internet applications for people to vote and to participate, not only to vote, but to give their ideas. For example, we start the new scheme of planification of the metropole, which will be finished in 2019. More than 2,500 contributions of citizens have been given by this internet application, and this is really important for us to have the input of citizens. So also other initiative. What is very important is to have also an open data policy, because the data is for everyone, it's the property of everyone. And this is the case to build the smart city. Thank you for your attention, and welcome to Grenoble if you want.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Farrow. Again, he brings a new information and message from the Grenoble. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I work on a final presentation. We'll invite the Wellington City of the New Zealand. So we will welcome the Director of the Chief Executive Officers, Mr. Ken, please. Give you the floor 5 minutes.
Kia ora, kia orana, taloha ni malo elelei, warm Pacific greetings, and dage ho, sao an, washua Ken Thompson. Honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the invitation to be here. We appreciate very much your generous invitation. I'm the last speaker, so that means I have 3 hours. So get comfortable. I'm from Wellington, so we are called the world's coolest little capital. It's in paper somewhere, I've read it. Wellington is known for its vibrant arts scene, world-class cafe and restaurant culture, and active outdoor lifestyle. You didn't know, but this was a tourism advert. Wellington is a happy mix of modern and artistic urban form, ringed closely by an attractive natural environment that attracts some very interesting, young, smart, talented people, and that is exactly the kind of person that we are looking for in Wellington. It's the core city to a physically large and culturally, socially, and economically diverse region. The Wellington area is enormous, but the population is centred in about 20% of the land mass. And of course, being the coolest capital is great. It's also wonderful that generations of us have tirelessly worked to build a city that we live in and we love, that has strong social and cultural profile, and a city where we can justifiably call ourselves people-centred. But while these marketable features are core to our offering as a city, it is, as they say, what lies beneath about which we are primarily concerned. Cities matter. Cities matter because more of us than at any other point in our history have chosen to live in them. Cities provide proximity, they provide opportunity, they provide growth, development and innovation. In New Zealand, Wellington is not the biggest, and we never will be the biggest city. And because we don't have the natural advantage of scale, we have to be smart, and we have to be smarter than average. I'm just going to skip through this one because I'm very aware that that man over there holds a sign and it says 1 minute to go, and I don't want him to hold that up in front of me when I'm right in the middle of my best path. So I'm just going to skip this bit. We are compelled. We are driven by resilience. We have to act. In November last year, Wellington experienced the largest recorded earthquake in our history. It was a 7.8 on the scale. We weathered it relatively well. It was about 200 kilometers south of us, and geologists and scientists say, oh, but it wasn't our earthquake. Well, if that wasn't our earthquake, I don't want to meet our earthquake. But what it does is it focuses your attention on the things that matter for your city. So, of course, resilience and science drives a lot of our innovation and our technology. But it did give rise to the perennial question of, should we move the capital city away from Wellington and should we move it to Auckland? The confident answer I can give to that is no. We have built, in our view, not only a beautiful city, but we're building a resilient one, that our country continues to have confidence in being able to recover from shocks and stresses over time. Confidence is the key word. To engender the confidence we need, we must make good decisions, and we must act on them, and we must demonstrate that the input that our citizens have into the decision-making process has been taken account of. That means using different channels. It means using different ways of communicating, and communicating with different languages. It doesn't always mean formality. It doesn't always mean the orthodox way of communication. And that is how we get younger people involved in our discussions. So typically for a city of 200,000 people, with a larger area of 500,000 people, we produce what is called a long-term plan. It's our 10-year view of what we will do, how we will invest, the things that we will focus on, with quite a lot of detail in the first 3 years of that plan. Typically you get maybe 300 people who will engage in that material. They will write their letters, they will come in, they will appear, and they are the people who influence decision makers about what it is that they will say yes and no to in terms of investing into the city over the next 10 years. 300 people out of 200,000. So we changed things up. A couple of years ago, we did something bizarre for New Zealand. We used this new thing called the internet, and this other new thing which everybody seems to be terrified of, which is social media. So we produced all of our material on social media. Not only did we not just put up a PDF of a 400-page investment document, we put up questions, we raised issues, we asked people, engage with us on the things about which you care and tell us what you think. And you know what? When you've told us what you think about it, we'll do something about it. And then we'll come back and we'll tell you how we did that. And that's how we got from 300 people to 12,000 people. So our goal next time is to go from 12,000 people to 20,000 people. Because ultimately the decisions that are made by people that sit around a council table or an executive table, a cabinet table, are influenced, and I'm not being critical, and don't throw anything at me, but we're influenced generally by the last people that we hear from. So we need to make sure that as many voices as possible are expressed in the decision-making process. See, that guy's got that sign up. He's put that sign up. I want to make sure you see who he is. Look, he does this, he puts pressure on us. I'm going to take 1 more minute. You going to argue with me? Yeah. Okay, so I have raced through my presentation. The key things I want to leave with you from our perspective, Mr. Timekeeper guy, are that data matters. Data is open. It does not belong to one particular group. It needs to be shared. It needs to be publicly available. And if it is not accessible in terms of the platform on which it is being made available, make it so. Because people being able to access data are able to innovate. And innovation is enabling us to evolve our city. So that's what I wanted to leave you with. Thank you, and 谢谢.
谢谢，谢谢。I'm the person also very head of those guys raising the times up. I'm very in a hurry now. But I will give you the 1 minute for compensation for each all of you. And also I will raise the question. You just 1 minute, just giving the answers to all of us. Well, I want to ask you as the leaders, and you are facing the areas of a small city. Leader is the driven forces. So could you? I want to ask you on the verse side that it's very difficult for the leader because most of the leader is not the specialty, especially in IT, and specialty also quite expensive. And also, how did you engage the people in the process of knowing that? And the third thing I'm personally concerned is the privacy, because the data is you have to mobilize the data, and it's covering all the privacy, penetrate through privacy. So I give it 1 minute for compensation. Okay. So I'll start from yours. 1 minute to give us I ask as a leaders, how did you look on the pros and cons of smart city, and what did you point of view about the advantage and the future difficulties, starting from Wellington. 1 minute.
1 minute, no pressure. Time's up. You come all the way from Wellington and they tell you time's up. I think I want to answer 2 parts of your questions. The first one, I heard someone say yesterday that the importance of data is that it should be driven by the uses that people have for it, rather than data driving the decisions themselves. So I think the key thing is that we shouldn't be using data to justify a decision that we've already made. We should be saying, here is our outcome, really simple stuff. Here is our outcome, and here is the data that we have. What is the pathway that we want to travel on in order to achieve our outcome? That is the first thing I would say. And for leaders, I count myself in local government as being relatively young. I turned 41 on Sunday, and I count myself as being relatively young in local government in New Zealand. And the thing that I am learning already and that I must maintain for myself is that it's okay to say, I don't know. And when people engage with you on a decision-making process, it's okay to not have the answer. Just be really clear about the question.
Great. Time's up. So we go to the very novel. Mr. Farrelly, 1 minute.
Well, very rapidly. I would say that the concept of smart city should not stay as a theoretical concept, stratospheric concept. The question is to improve public services in the future, dealing with all what we have in the city that is built for innovation, technological innovation, economical innovation, social innovation, cultural innovation. So the smart city governance must must allow to have all the interactions together. So the question is, leading such a concept of smart city must be you have to be very smart yourself. And the question is to say, well, some things I don't know, things I think it's the good idea to go, but you have also to be in this very humble strategy. So the humility, open data, nothing is the property of anyone, it's the property of everyone. So it's also the concept of something that is collective, and this is something, very strong.
Thank you, Mr. Farrelly. Now we move to the mayors of Paris.
I go back to the point originally that it straddles back to the leadership paradigm. I think that for smart cities to take root, one has to step back and realize that the leader of a municipality tomorrow will be a different leader.
Yeah.
It will be a person who is an engager, a convener of persons. It will be a person who is at that table but maybe keeps quiet. It will be a facilitator of ideas. And I like this concept of being guided by persons. As a leader, it's not that you go into the room and you speak. It's not that your voice will be the loudest. The leaders of tomorrow's smart city, will be those who empower others. And I also want to just echo this concept that I think in a larger context, we're speaking about democracy, we're speaking about social development, we're speaking about larger concepts as it relates to how do we work together as a community and how do we respond to community problems. And I think data and technology can be a new driver of the empowerment of people, but there has to be a fundamental paradigm shift in relation to leadership. I look at the conversations that we're having in terms of leadership currently, and there has to be that change to partnering, there has to be that change to relationship building and confidence building. And I think that tomorrow's city will require new skills of a leader.
Thank you. So we go to the Sapak city.
Thank you. Well, it's a really interesting question, and it's the most important. It's also a question about what are we doing here right now, and what is the politician's job. Well, I don't think there is a better and there is no better job than being a politician, because you have to provide the good conditions for the citizens. You have to make the wishes come true. This is a very nice job, and because of that, I think that you should ask citizens all the time what they want, what they think, and you have to ask your citizens to make questions. You have to give them good answers all the time. That's why we think that this year, in our 50 villages around the city, we will have 50 referendums about what is the most important thing in their own village, how they want to see it, how they want to do it. This is the most important thing.
Thank you, Mayor. So we will give the final 1 minute to the Jakarta. Right.
Well, I think the concept of smart city is how the leader could do solution. I mean, giving some effective and efficient solution to the problems of the city. So every leaders in the city has to be able and has to listen, I think, to people, to community, and by listening, that they will know exactly what the inherent problem of the city, and they might be able also to be open to the people that what they are doing and what they want to from the government. I think this is the way that we have to interact with the people. So ICT is basically only a tools, and the computer or the ICT literacy might be different from people to people. So this is very important to have an open system of the smart city, and how good you listen to people. So this is the leader. I mean, from city to city, from province to province might be different, but for Jakarta it's very inherent to know the inherent problems of people down there, and how the governor or the leader interact quickly and give a responsive demand, response to the people. I think that's the way.
Yeah, thank you all the mayors and leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to round up, end up the sessions. I don't know how to end up the conclusion. But I think it's very important to say this is the areas of a smart city. The leaders, the people, becomes the most important players. It's not the IT industry. It's not the IT vendor. Still, the leaders and the people are the key players. So we dominate the whole process. But still, we recognize that we need IT technology. But how do they go into the democratic process? And even though how do they go to the government procurement process? So it's still a long way. But we cannot wait, because we have a step-by-step going on. We have to step-by-step going on, and it becomes a more advantage for that, even though the process is quite difficult. But I don't think it's difficult. It needs a more innovative way to govern the process. So that is my findings, not my conclusions. So ladies and gentlemen, we end up right here. And as I know, I give it to you. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you very much, Deputy Lane, for moderating the final session of the 2017 Smart City Mayor Summit. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude the 2017 Smart City Mayor Summit in Taipei. So let us have another warm round of applause for the moderator and the panelists.